Hey everybody, today I just kind of want to talk about the 2026 NBA trade season and what all's going on around the league. And I want to start with these two, Trey Young, Ja, probably the two biggest slash most interesting names that'll get moved at this time. Kind of a dud year for the trade deadline. Um, but it doesn't take away from the fact that these two are big names with a lot of news around them. And this is about 2 days after the Trey Young trade. So we'll start there because I want to get into John a little bit. But Trey Young is a Washington Wizard. Um, I never could have predicted this. Trey Young felt like one of those for life guys, but not in a way that was because he was a great player or because I don't know. It just didn't feel like he was a Steph Curry where he was just always going to be there. It more so felt like he was just going to be there because he was their best player and who knows how long. And to see him get moved for what he got moved for and CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert is just so sad. No picks, nothing. Just CJ and Corey Kispert. Um, that is a wild return for your franchise star for the Hawks. Now, obviously, their shift is more now on Jalen Johnson than anybody else, but this is still just an insane thing to see because, like, 3, 4 years ago, Trey Young was in the conference finals with this group of guys. And it's weird to see them shift so quickly away from him after the years they've had with him. Obviously, he's kind of plateaued in a way. And I could have seen that coming because Trey Young is not big at all. He's not a good defender. He's super small. His main, you mainly get him for his 3-point ability and his playmaking ability, but those can only get you so far unless you're Steph Curry, where you can just shoot the lights out anywhere. He's kind of just one of those guys where he's good, but he's never going to get better than what he already is. And I think the Hawks kind of came to that realization and just moved him away. And now I'm interested to see, does Atlanta make any more trades? What else do they do? Because I don't think this team is complete now. Um, Obviously, Jalen Johnson, very good player. He might even be an all-star this year, which would be very impressive. And I kind of can't wait to see how Jalen Johnson does as kind of the leader of the team. But that'll be a very interesting thing to see. If the Hawks do anything else, we'll talk about it more. But let's get to the Wizards because this is very interesting. They currently sit at 14th in the Eastern Conference. They're 10-27, but in their last 10, they are 5-5. That's good, right? It's not crazy, but it's pretty good for what this Wizards team was expected. And they're only about 3 games back of the 12/11 seed, or of the 12 seed, excuse me. And I'm just wondering, does Trey Young ever get this team to be a play-in team, right? Does it happen this year? Probably not. Next year, it might, especially if the Wizards – there's 2 avenues the Wizards can go. They can either say, hey, Trey Young's on the team. Let's try to buy in now and see how far we can get with all the hype around Trey and all the excitement in DC. Let's see where we can get. And they can try to propel themselves to a play-in spot. Now, the Bucks are currently 17-21, so I don't think the Wizards pass them. I think if they're going to bump up in the rankings, they will get past the Hornets. And they'll be kind of the 12 seed, which is pretty good. It's out of the play-in, so you still have a chance at the lottery, which is where I think they should personally go. They should go out in this loaded year of NBA players. You've got guys like the top guys like DeBonsa, Peterson, even guys kind of still in the lottery but not top in talent like Koa Pete. I think they can go a lot of ways. And I think if they go out and get someone like that and say, hey, give it 2-3 years, we'll see where that goes, I think they can be a really good team. Well, really good's a stretch. But I think they can definitely get into the play-in range, especially with the East not being as deadly as we thought it was going to be. With only 2 real standout teams, I think that they can do it. The Wizards torture years are not over, but it looks like they're turning the page on a new chapter, and I'm excited to see it. Moving on from Bradley Beal, John Wall, that era where they got into the playoffs and just couldn't get over the hump, to now having Trae Young and who knows what is kind of exciting. I'll be very interested to see what other moves they make. I'm big on NBA trades, and I love seeing stuff like this, and hopefully Trae Young can kind of revive his career. This makes me wonder what they do now that they have Trae, because you obviously have a ton of guards between Trae Johnson, between Will Riley, between A.J. Johnson, and it makes me really curious as to how they will structure their team. Do you run all those guys? What happens to Koulibaly? I think he needs to stay, and I think he needs to start with Trae. Because let's face it, Trae Young is, 170 at 6'1"? He gets bullied. He gets pushed around, and he can't really buy into a defense unless he really, really tries, because he is so small. And I think trying to cover for him with like Trae Johnson and other guys who are just offensive machines is not gonna work as well. I expect that guys like Sar and their other bigs are definitely going to eat with Trae. I'm excited to see how Alex Sar does, because he's a really intriguing guy, because he can attack the rim and also shoot a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that two-man game is going to work out. I'm interested because Trae Young's obviously out right now, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what do they run? Do they run a Trae Young Sar heavy pick and roll? Do they run kind of a freelance where they're just having Trae cook and say, hey, everybody else be ready to catch the ball, create your own shot, and they run just ISO heavy game? I don't know. But it's going to be very interesting to see. And, yeah, I'm excited about this, because this is someone that I never thought was going to get traded. And I don't know. It's just exciting to me. But let's get to Ja Morant, because this guy right here is someone I am obsessing over. In the last 24 hours, we have been told that the Grizzlies are looking to shop around Ja Morant. Multiple teams have called and offered. But I think the most important thing about all this is the Grizzlies said they are willing to keep Ja Morant. Now, if they're willing to keep him, this completely changes. Or, sorry, if they weren't willing to keep him, this completely changes my view on the Grizzlies and Ja Morant. If they were not willing to keep him, there would obviously be some kind of problem with him, other than the Grizzlies just not being that good. I mean, they're the 10 seed, so not good is kind of a stretch, but it just doesn't look like it's going in a good direction. And this makes me wonder, who are people that Ja Morant would fit with? Who are teams that Ja Morant would go to? And I'm just looking around the league at teams that either A, need someone of Ja's caliber, or B, need guards. So looking at the West, like, none of the top teams need him. A team that's kind of made me interested in all this is Minnesota. How would Ja fit with Minnesota? I don't know. You would have to essentially say Anthony Edwards is not going to have the ball in his hands as much. And you say, hey, Ant, you have become a crazy good shooter, right? One of the best in the league, 3-point percentage with volume. You're him from three. You would have to say, hey, you're going to be a catch and shoot, kind of shot clock grenade player, which I don't think Ant would buy into. Doesn't seem like the type of thing Anthony Edwards would do, but I think he could definitely revive some of Ja's energy. I don't know where it went wrong with him, but it just does not seem like he either has the confidence or he just doesn't seem locked in. He's always seemed kind of out of it for the last couple years. And I don't know what caused it. Maybe it was his first suspension with the Instagram incident. I don't know. But he's just obviously not the same player. But I don't think it's a situation like Trae Young where he's just plateaued. I think it's a situation where he's just not trying anymore. And it's kind of sad to see, because Ja Morant can still be a good player in this league, I believe. You've just got to give him the right opportunity and the right team around him. which obviously if you're catering to someone that much, maybe they're just not destined to be good. I don't know. These two just seem like very similar players. And looking around the league, again, Minnesota, I just don't see it happening. I don't know the money situation with all these guys right now. This is kind of just a reaction based on everything that's going on with all the buzz. And Minnesota just, they'd have to move Julius Randle, I think, because him, Jaden McDaniels, I don't know. They're just all kind of not inconsistent, but they're definitely streaky where they need to be on fire for you to really, really, really trust their catch and shoot ability if that's the only thing they're doing. Jaden McDaniels has obviously proved he's more than that. And I just don't think it happens. I don't think a lot of Timberwolves fans want it. Just because, I mean, it's Ja Morant. You're kind of taking a gamble by having him. But it really intrigues me on if we say, hey, Ja, attack downhill every play and get shooters open. You can obviously play off ball with Anthony Edwards too. Now, I know they kind of just tried that with Memphis where they said, hey, Ja, you're a point of attack, hit shooters open. He's not a read and react guy. He's a get downhill, do it myself type of thing, kind of like Giannis, which we'll get to in a minute, which I think is very interesting. But I just don't really see it happening as much as I'm interested by it. Rockets, that's the best way I can put it. I don't see them going out to get Ja, especially with how they're doing as the 6th seed. You've got Fred VanVleet, obviously injured, and I think Reed Shepherd's been doing pretty well in his last few games. And I just, if I'm the Rockets right now, I have Amen Thompson. I'm not really stressing to find a point guard because Amen Thompson is literally their golden key right now because he can unlock any avenue that they want, whether he plays the 1, the 3, the 4, who knows, right? But he is what I would focus on if I'm the Rockets, so I don't think he goes there. Phoenix is just, the vibes are too good right now. And even then, I think Colin Gillespie has proved himself as a starter, 6th-man quality point guard in this league. And I just think there's too much positional overlap between him, Goodwin, Booker, Jalen Green. It just doesn't fit there. Someone like the Blazers, I don't really know how to gauge the Blazers right now. It seems like they're doing good. Their record and standing seem kind of worse than everything I've heard about them. Haven't watched too much of the Blazers this year, but they have definitely been an exciting team to kind of monitor from a distance and tune into some late games here and there. And then all these teams at the bottom of the West are just not. The only team that is interesting to me is Sacramento, and I kind of want to get to them because I don't know what to gauge about Sacramento. They're 8-30, worst team, second worst team in the league behind the Pacers. This experiment between Brody, Levine, and DeRozan is just obviously not working out, and I don't know what you do about it. None of those guys seem like players that teams want, and so maybe you just live with it. Maybe you bring in Ja, you get Levine into Memphis. I don't know, but it would be kind of interesting to see that. Do the Kings turn a chapter and say, hey, we're not going to tank anymore. We're going to try to be competent and get Ja? I don't really know. Maybe he revives his career there. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like that would be a place where his attitude would change at all because they are so bad and they're in such a bad spot. But who knows? Maybe that changes. Maybe they do some more moves in the offseason. But they just – I think they're too bad for Ja Morant to want to go there. I don't think he has the leverage that someone like a Giannis has in the trade market right now. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like anything that the Kings have, the Grizzlies would want either. Unless Memphis is deciding, hey, we're just going to completely turn it around and we're just going to tank now and they trade Jaren. Maybe they build around Jaren. I don't really know. Jaren just doesn't seem like a player you can build a team around as the one option. Even as a 2 option, just building around Jaren just doesn't seem like something the Grizzlies are trying to do at least. He's a very good role player, though, with high value. So if I'm Memphis, maybe I trade him. But we'll kind of see how that all plays out. And then in the East, the only team in the East that is – the only 2 teams, I would say, are the Bulls and the Bucks at the 10 and 11 seeds, respectively, same wins, pretty much the same record. Bulls have one less loss. Let's start with Milwaukee, because if you get Ja Morant on this team, I don't know what it does. Again, I'm just looking at teams that are either not good without a point guard, or just, I guess, teams without a point guard in general that might be interested in getting him cheaply, like the Wizards did with Trae Young. But I don't really know the whole situation with Milwaukee right now, but it just seems like someone or a team that might be interested. Because, again, their point guards, like Ryan Rollins has been okay, KPJ's okay. Cole Anthony's kind of been on a downward trend at this point in his career. It just seems like this team can use a second go-to guy. And with someone like Miles Turner that can stretch the floor, and someone like Giannis where Ja Morant can just run in the open floor with him, I don't hate the idea, but I don't love it either, because I don't know if Milwaukee's a place that is interested in him. And we'll kind of get more into Milwaukee in a minute. It's not going to be anything crazy, but they're in an interesting spot right now. And then the Bulls just always need something. Now, they obviously have someone like Giddey, but does that mean you move Giddey over? He's been pretty good from everything I've heard and know, so maybe this isn't the spot for him, but I don't know. I just think they need to shake it up. Kobe White has been good. Maybe you just kind of revamp this team as a whole, because it's not worked. And again, the Magic, no. I'm just trying to look at teams that might need him. They have like Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs. They're not going to do it. And all these teams at the bottom kind of have their point guard. The Nets, Jaeger Demon has been hooping. The Nets are just doing their own thing right now. The Pacers, Halliburton's coming back hopefully soon. The Hornets have LaMelo. So it just doesn't seem like there's a good market for Ja right now. And if the Grizzlies are good with trading him, then I think you kind of just have to do that and just say, hey, we'll bite the bullet on keeping him. Yeah, that's kind of it for these two. Trade buzz. The only other player that I've seen really is Giannis. He had the quote the other day that he's not going to request a trade. That's not him. So maybe they trade him. Maybe they don't. Do the Thunder make any moves? I don't think so. They're too good. I know they've lost a lot of games, and people are freaking out that, oh my gosh, this Thunder team isn't everything we thought. But I think that they're fine. They're not really worried. The league's too competitive and too good to not lose under 10 games like everyone thinks they will and break the Warriors record, whatever. I don't see them. I don't see the Spurs going out to get him. They would have to give up too much. But Wemby and Giannis is very, very intriguing. I would absolutely love it. Yeah, it's really intriguing. You obviously have to give up either Harper or Castle. And if I'm the Spurs, I'm giving up Harper. I don't want to give up on him. I think they're good enough without going to get him. So I don't know. I think Giannis just kind of stays in Milwaukee and is just going to continue what he's done and just put pressure on the Bucks to do something. And I don't really know where anything goes from here. I think this is going to be a pretty uneventful trade deadline. I think Trae Young is going to be the only name that gets moved. That's like a notable name, of course, but there's just nothing really. This second apron has kind of just killed off mediocre stars, which is really sad to see. There's obviously room in the league for talent like Ja, but nobody wants him. It's kind of sad to see. But yeah, that's about it. We'll see if anything else happens, but I'm very interested to see where all this goes. And yeah, that's it. See ya.